Hello and welcome to this fifth episode in our Headless PIM live stream series from Crystallize. My name is Bård and I have Vasil with me, which is lead frontend here at Crystallize.
Hi everyone, I'm very happy to join board for this episode of the PIM series again.
And this time we will be talking about data import. 4 different ways, didn't count. And obviously, as we looked at previously, you can import or input data manually, and this is, I would say, once you are using Crystallize as the main product repository, that's probably what you will be working with. Perhaps you have some master data synced from an ERP or warehousing service, depending on your setup, to get the SKU name and master data, and then just continue to enrich here in Crystallize. Of course, you do have mechanisms within Crystallize to make it more efficient, like copy-paste kind of capabilities. And that is for working with a more efficient input when you do things manually, or typically then enriching product data in Crystallize. But there are other ways. Maybe one of the most popular somehow is what we will look into with spreadsheets, at least initially. We have a lot of clients that are using spreadsheets to synchronize data with Crystallize. Then you also have the automation side of things when you're actually setting up an integration, or you want something to go programmatically. You typically use the SDK that we have for import and export. And last but not least, because all the above is using that, is to use the APIs directly. Quite common when you're doing like iPaaS services like make.com or N8N, and there are several services like that. We're using low-code tools to directly manipulate the APIs in Crystallize. That's also a popular approach these days. But should we jump into some show and tell?
Let's do that.
Because here we have, so we're starting off where we left, obviously, where you have we have some products that we already created in the previous streams. But now we would like to create more, and we will use an import app that we have installed here. So this is an open source app that we have to show how you can synchronize Crystallize with external product data. In this case, coming from a spreadsheet. So I just dropped in here not the Google, it was an Excel spreadsheet. Doesn't really matter, CSV format or Excel format, no problem. And basically, you immediately see all the columns that were available here in the spreadsheet. And in our example, we actually are using brown cheese as an example, because that's what we like to use as an example. But anyhow, it's a spreadsheet that contains products. So the first we need to do is to select products. And maybe we would like to choose import location. So in this case, I'll actually choose brands.
So this will be in the catalog, right, Bård? Like
Yeah.
where this will be placed in the catalog.
So I choose under brands, and here we have, when I come to think of it, it is actually multiple brands. Let's see how we can tackle that. We'll not dive too much into it, but it is a possibility to also use validation, which we'll get a little bit more back to, where you can have schemas that define content quality rules, and where you can actually use it with different workflows depending on how complete the products are. And you can also choose to publish directly if everything is good. I'll just keep it as a draft for now. And basically what we're talking about here is I have my spreadsheet, and I'll choose the product name. I'll map that to item name in Crystallize. We have a variant name. I'll map to a variant name. SKU, guess it's going into the SKU. That's our unique number. We have a price, I'm mapping, and I have a stock mapping. You kind of get the picture. We're mapping. We can also do things like, okay, here we have a column called weight. Maybe I'm adding then a new product variant attribute, saying that, okay, this is actually weight, not external reference. And in this case, we have a brand. So this is where we started. Okay, I have multiple brands.
Yeah.
What if I choose here to map this to a subfolder called category? What happens then is actually the import app will look for a folder with that name. If it doesn't exist, it will create it. And then we have a description, and I'll just add that to the item description, like we did here. And that was all the columns. I'm then just clicking the import. I could have done a pre-flight check to check validation, but I haven't really set up anything special here. So it's basically giving you information about the progress, and it's done.
Great. That was kind of fast and nice and easy to add it. Just with this mapping that we can do ourselves from the spreadsheet to like what matches in Crystallize. This was amazing.
And there we have it, the product data here in Crystallize. Now you see the different products and the attributes that we imported with the weight. We have the price. I did just the retail price. We have several others here. And finally, the stock was imported here. So it's a quick example of how powerful it is actually to inject product data directly into Crystallize. Now, I see that I made a mistake. I didn't select group by correctly. So we actually got the product variants here as separate products. And this is kind of two different philosophies, because in Crystallize, as we've seen, you can manage products like we did with the Monstera. It's one product, but three different variants, product variants, we call them. Or you can have them, as I usually say, exploded, where you have one product for each variant. You do you, whatever makes sense for your product catalog. But at least this is the first example of how I can have a product directly imported, in this case, from a spreadsheet to Crystallize.
Great.
What I can probably also mention is that if I'm just dropping it in again, the spreadsheet. So this is, by the way, if I select the proper grouping here, you can group by product name and say that if they have the same name, it will be multiple variants of the same product. But the mapping here, so as this is an open source app, you could also, which a lot of our clients are doing, create your own, let's say, template for Excel or Google Sheets, whatever they use, so that you don't have to do the mapping. It's already pre-mapped, probably in addition to some validation rules, so that you make sure that you don't publish a product that doesn't have all the components in there. But we'll get back to validation in a separate episode. But I'm thinking that's a good overview over what you can do with spreadsheets and Crystallize. And on that, I'm actually going to switch the screen here. So you should be sharing screen now, Mr. Vasil.
Yeah. So maybe now we can look at a different way of how we can actually handle our imports. And while the app is more kind of UI oriented, right, where you have the nice interface where you just drag and drop the file, you do the mapping, and you upload everything at once. there is also a possibility where here a developer or a person with a little bit more of developer skills can upload as well and add files to Crystallize. So for that, we developed a small open source library, which is called import utilities, which is available at crystallize/import utilities. And this library we use also quite often ourselves, where we can import different items to Crystallize, like folders, documents, products. What is good here is that the import utilities offers a predefined schema for all of these items, which, by the way, reminds me that we can also use the import utilities to create shapes, topics, grids, as you can see, VAT types, price variants, a lot of things. And for those, we have defined schema, and we are also exposing TypeScript types to it, right? So then it makes it very easy actually to provide the correct information and create the items the way that they should be created. So let's see how we can actually use the import utilities library. So here I put up a small Node.js project, and as you can see here in one of the dependencies I installed here is the Crystallize import utilities package. Over here I added a file which is called import products, and what we are doing here in the import products file, we are bootstrapping the import utilities library. And we need to provide a little bit of information so it knows where to upload and where to add the items. So here we are providing the access token ID and access token secrets. Those you can create, their user-based, and you can go into the Crystallize application, and then you can create your own and add them. And what else we need to provide? We need to provide also the tenant identifier to which we want to import the product. Right. So the next step from here is, since this is a function, we can provide actually the specification that I told you earlier, and then we are passing that to the bootstrapper, and then we are triggering the upload of the items. This is kind of a very small function that it could be also reused in many different projects. It's always do the same. And here in our entry point, I have the tenant spec specified. And as I said, we are exporting also TypeScript types, so we know actually what kind of information we can provide. And then if we go and look a little bit at the spec, you see that we have information for shapes, for items, for topics, and you can go even further and dig into what kind of properties are required and what are optional properties. So what I did here, I added a single product, which in our case is going to be a lilium flower. And over here with this property, I'm telling the import utilities that I want this product to be placed under products / plants, because this is a plant, so I want this product to be placed there. And here we can also provide the components which are defined by this shape, by the shape product. So the item will be of this type. And we already have a name and we have description. What else we can provide with the import utilities are the variants which the product is going to have. So in this case, this will be a variant of orange lily with the SKU, with the price and the stock. And also we will have images for the variant. What is good here also is that this could be any external image that you may have somewhere uploaded, or you just need to, we can grab it from anywhere. Once, over here, the import utilities will make sure to grab the image and upload it to Crystallize, generate all the variants and all different formats available for this image, and then make them available for you. And over here, we have also a second variant, which is the wood lily with kind of similar information. So once the spec is built, or this is the information that we want to provide and create this item, we just need to call that import products function that I showed you earlier and pass our spec. So let's see how that works. So over here, I have it. And then I'll just run import. So what is doing now the import utilities behind the scene? is we'll fetch this image on the back. We'll create the item with the different products, and it will add them and publish that to Crystallize. So now let's go back here. So I'll go to products, as I showed you earlier, plans, and then over here you see our Lilium that it was just created with nice flowers. And the name and the description that was there. And if I go to one of the variants, you see over here, for example, for the first variant, this is the out text over here together with the description with the additional information for the image. Over here is the stock that I passed of 9, and then we have the price of 35 and B2B price of 28. And all of that, of course, goes to the second variant with all the information. So this is another kind of very easy way to actually import products to Crystallize, which also could be not only product, but folders, documents. You can create the whole catalog tree from the import activities.
So it's kind of the same, but you have to define you have to actually write the code to import it, but using the spec file. And while the spreadsheet is nice, spreadsheets are flat by nature, right? So this is kind of the mapping and the structural component that you don't get in spreadsheets. While if you look at this JSON spec here, it's a very, very structured format defining the product with the variants there. And of course, this is super useful for both doing import, doing synchronization, so that you fetch master data every now and again when it changes to maybe pull correct prices or maybe more stock information. Maybe that's something that you want to synchronize with. But I think it's a good example and quite little code there that you actually have to write.
Yeah. The bootstrapping part is really just a few lines of code, and the rest is just kind of building the spec, and that's all.
So this is nice. And of course, again, this is using the import export SDK, useful in many scenarios. But sometimes you want to use something even more, let's say, down to the metal, which is more bare bone, which is the APIs directly.
Yeah.
An example for that, as I mentioned, could be integration tools that you use a web service where you can define the payload for example, a stock update or price update or things like this, which are maybe smaller updates, but happening based on external systems that are being changed.
Yeah. So shall we take a look at how we can do that, Crystallize?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So let's take, for example, our Lilium product that we just uploaded. And what we can do actually here, we can open the GraphQL playground that we have. Of course, this could be just a mutation or a query that we make from completely different system to Crystallize. But just for simplicity, I have it here in the playground. So, of course, if you look at here at the schema and the variable mutations, you see that there are a bunch of options to update document and folder and product with all the variants. And what you just mentioned, kind of, for example, or to take the example of updating the price variants and stock locations, which we see that quite often our clients, they have the need of doing that. And how we can do that? Here there is a update variants method that we can on the product. And first we need to provide the product ID. So let's grab that from over here. This is the product ID, and then we need to provide here the SKU of the item that you want to update. So if we take this one over here that I see on my screen, this is the SKU. The language will be English, our current language. And then we have the option here in the input to provide, for example, price variants. There are a lot of different options that we can provide here, right? With like attributes and images and whatsoever. But if you get the price variants, we can go, for example, and see this, the retail price variant here, for example, it's our default price variant. So I'll pass here a default. And then currently the price is 37. So let's say that now it's going to be 43. And the stock location, it goes the same way over here. So this is also the default stock location. So just grab it, and then we can say that this is actually now 6 because we just sold 1, for example. So when we run this mutation, we see that everything was updated. And if I come back here to our variant, we will see that our retail price now is at 43, and our stock location is at 6 items left. And that's how we can do that easily with just, as you said, getting close to the method, just calling the API to do this mutation.
Simple enough, right?
Yeah.
So that's it for you. I mean, the 4 ways of importing and synchronizing product data in Crystallize. And of course, since this is headless, you see that we can use the APIs directly and everything is live. You can also build, like Vasil showed, with SDKs and build import scripts that one-time import, migration, or a regular synchronization, very useful. And then you have for more editorial use cases where you have a spreadsheet type of import, which of course could also just update, for example, the stock and price. So you can use the same methodology there. And of course, as always, you can use manual input and cut and paste to modify and create new products in Crystallize. That's it for this one. Please subscribe to the channel. You will get a notification already next week. We will be talking about access control and how we can lock down and modify Crystallize in terms of different user roles. And yeah, we'll not share more than that. Join us next week for details on that. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.